Alright, so a flat tire might be one way to keep your car from rolling away, but the parking brake's actually an important thing. And you have to have a working parking brake in order to pass safety inspection in Virginia. And I can tell you right now, this parking brake doesn't work worth jack. So absolutely no pressure on the brake pads when you crank it up. So did a little reading, found a few different things about it, and you can do an adjustment, but the trick is you got to pull that center console out, it seems. So, which means you got to pull the seats out. So we get the seats out, get the console out, and we'll see if we can't get this thing to adjust. All right, so I got the seats out, plowed them on top of all my other stuff, took the console off. As you know, there's just 4 bolts for each chair and then 4 screws holding on the console, and the only other thing you got to do is unclip the little wiring harness for the windows. And oh, and I took the head off of the stick shift so that you can just slip that off. So that's up and off the road, out of the way. Some people online are saying you can do this without removing everything by slipping a ratchet in there, but figured might as well take them out. It's super easy. All right, so this little nut right here is the magic nut apparently. So supposedly we got to loosen that up, let it unloosen, and then you just use the handle to tighten it up. So we'll give that a try and see how it goes. So the idea with this is that you loosen this nut, which holds the brake line. That gives you slack. And then these are the 2 lines that go back to the 2 brakes. You'll notice right now they're uneven. They go back to the brakes, and I'll show you underneath, which are spring-loaded. So when you loosen this, the idea is that the spring would push them back to their starting position. They're not going back to their starting position. So I got up underneath there, I've been lubing them up really good to try and get them to move. I got the one on the passenger side to move and go back to its starting position that it's supposed to be in. Still got to get the driver's side. So I'll take you down underneath the car and show you what those look like. All right, so I'm under the car, and you're looking at the back of the drive wheel, the rear wheel behind the driver's seat. So drive line here, what is that, the support bar there or whatever. So this is your brake cable, comes back into this mechanism right here, and this is your parking brake. So this is spring loaded, so when you loosen that cable, this cable's loose, the spring should pull this way, and it comes back, and there's a little foot right here that rests on this little stop. Well, I can still stick my finger in there. It's not coming back, so I'm going to lube this thing up and see if I can't wiggle it around and get it to loosen up and do its thing. I've been able to get it to do it on the other side. Sorry, that was probably really confusing. This is the passenger side, this one here, and this one I've been able to, you'll see it's kind of all wet, I've been able to get it loosened up, so now the spring has come around. So I think these things just sat unadjusted for so long that they just got a little bound up. So hopefully once I get these loosened up, I'll be able to reset the brake and get that parking brake taken care of. Alright, well, I'm a little out of luck. So I've been fiddling with this thing and fiddling with it. It's not the calipers on the brakes, it's the cables. So both of my cables are rusted up and basically frozen. They barely move. I disconnected the cables from the calipers underneath, and immediately they just popped to the open position like they're supposed to, and I can't even budge these cables. So I'm gonna have to order up 2 new cables to put in. You know, starting to do a little research and reading, it was very, very common on the first 2 versions of the MR2, and apparently it happens on this one too. There's a boot down on the end that, you know, takes up the slack when the caliper moves, and those are broken on both of them. So I would imagine water and stuff has gotten inside the cable, and then it rusts and it sticks. So got to replace those. So I got to order a couple parts to get that, and then I can replace those, and then it should be a piece of cake.